I beg of the government to be big, to accept that this was rushed through, it wasn't thought out, and it's a mistake.
So I want to say to all the young farmers out there, to all the young people out there, we are going to look after you. We are going to make sure that you have a future.
They came, they saw, and they gave it some welly.
We are going to cheer so loudly. You are going to rattle the windows of Downing Street. 1, 2, 3!
If the Prime Minister didn't hear the enormous crowd all the way in Brazil, in number 11, Rachel Reeves surely saw her tea ripple, like the impending arrival of T-Rex in a Jurassic Park puddle. This was a magnificent display of solidarity, and it was calm, collected, and dignified.
Can we please just hold a minute's silence to remember those that aren't with us anymore? And those that fed us during 2 world wars. So we'll just take a moment.
To have 20 or 30,000, however many people were there, and have a minute's silence for those who've died on farms, those who've sacrificed their lives in previous wars, you could have heard a pin drop. I can't imagine that on any other rally or protest or demonstration. That in itself tells you a lot about the extraordinary character and nature and respect of the farming community.
The government has taken the ability away for me to be able to pass the family farm on in a financially stable way for my 3 children. That makes me so angry.
Ollie Harrison, one of the organisers of the rally, led the impassioned speeches. On stage we heard from fiery farmers.
So buckle up, Starmer, because you're not going to win this fight.
And political leaders. Ed Davey telling the crowd that the Lib Dems are right behind them. And then Kemi Badenoch announcing that the Conservatives under her leadership will abolish APR if they get back in.
We know what you are dealing with, and that is why we know how this tax will destroy your way of life, and that is why we are going to reverse it.
The problem is, what if the current government just ignores this incredible force of nature and force for nature? Well, Jeremy Clarkson, high on painkillers, had a message for Keir and Rachel.
But I do want to finish, if I may, with a message to the government. I do. Not a shouty one, it's this. For the sake of everybody here, and for all the farmers who are stuck at home today, paralysed by a fog of despair over what's been foisted upon them, I beg of the government to be big, to accept that this was rushed through, it wasn't thought out, and it's a mistake. That's the big thing to do, admit it, and back down. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
The reason something of this size happened at all was thanks to the social media stars of farming, like Gareth, like Charlotte and Rebecca. Now, from obviously your farm to the glitzy bright lights of London, you've been on the, what sofa have you been on this morning?
Good Morning Britain this morning.
How do you find it?
I have to say, I do get nervous, but more because I feel the responsibility of being the voice for farmers who perhaps don't want to speak or can't get, to London to get on these TV programmes. So I feel a bit nervous, but very, very grateful to have the opportunity, and hopefully getting farming and the challenges we're facing on mainstream media will help to make a difference.
I mean, is that an opportunity of a generation really, is to get this sort of exposure, isn't it?
Absolutely. We probably won't have a chance like this again when farming is in the headlines, or I hope we won't have something as negative as this. So whilst the opportunities are coming, I'm saying yes to anything I can.
Okay, so this is plan A. Is there a plan B, Rebecca?
It's a really good question, and I have been asked about if there's a plan B. We hope this will work. A part of me is optimistic, but a larger part of me probably isn't. Farmers don't want to escalate things to have to, impede the supply chain. We don't want to impact consumers because ultimately they didn't make the decisions. But if we have to, we are at breaking point, and we may have to escalate our protests or the actions we take.
Okay, enjoying the levels of wellies here in central London?
Yeah, but guess who isn't in wellies? Me, and it's been blooming snowing, hasn't it? I've got bare feet. You know, I've hammered home the reason we have subsidies, you know, after World War II, you know, food shortages, things like that. Very basic messages that I think people can relate to and they can understand. I think if you go into highbrow and start talking about APR, BPR, you know, tax on this and tax on that, people, you'll quickly lose your audience.
Okay, no, I get that. So this is, I said to Rebecca, this is plan A. Is there a plan B? I mean, you tend to like switch the taps off, don't you?
Yes, I think this is going to be a series of well-planned escalations.
Are we going to leave it there?
Oh yeah, that's a good cliffhanger that.
Yeah.
I'm leaving that there, David.
And their message has resonated throughout the countryside, bringing farmers from every corner of the British Isles.
We live in a very rural area. There's big farms around by us and they're going to be impacted heavily. We're involved in the young farmers as well, so our local club's supporting all the farmers. Yeah, so it's a good cause to come down to.
Okay, you come down to London. Do you get London? Do you think London gets you?
Not really, no. You smile at people and you don't get very much back from people on the tube or anywhere else. But yeah, it's a good experience. It's only my second or third time coming down, so it's yeah, good to come down to the capital and stand up for something that we all believe in.
It's not sustainable if we have to pay the inheritance tax, so we've got to make a stand.
You need a farmer 3 times a day, and don't you forget it.
Who knows what will happen next? But what today does show is that if a gathering of this scale can be arranged in just over a week, just imagine what could happen if this lot continued to be ignored.